Curry. He said he wants them to do it. I want them to take him up on that. And by that I mean get Steph involved in pick and rolls where he has to guard the ball handler. And I want to make this clear. I am not saying that because I think Steph's a terrible defender. I don't even think Steph's a below-average defender. But I think Steph has shown a propensity in his career, particularly in these types of games, to not have the ability to stay out of foul trouble, to not have the ability to keep his hands out, to not try to draw the 50-50 block charge call. And if you can get Steph Curry with 2 early fouls, you are at a distinct advantage. Even if he doesn't get early fouls, if you can tire him out, if you can wear him out to a degree, if you can make him less explosive on the offensive end, you are at a decisive advantage. So that is the Rockets. They didn't say, but it was reported that's what they were going to try to do. Steph got wind of that, said this weekend, I hope they do it every play. The Rockets didn't take him up on that. That, to me, is something that can give the Rockets an edge in a game that is critically important to them.
Yeah, it's not a Rockets philosophy. That's the NBA philosophy. That's what you have to do to great players, especially guys who are undersized or small. You have to be able to make them work on the offensive end. That's one of the reasons why the Celtics put Marcus Morris in also. So LeBron would have to work on the defensive end. Now, it's a different type of work than running around picks. But if you are a guard in the NBA, especially in the Western Conference, you know this is what they're going to try to do. So it's not just Steph Curry. Like, if you are that type of guard, especially the way they play with the pace, you're going to have to run through a lot of picks. You're going to have to play a lot of defense. What I think is important are the role players of Houston and Clint Capella. Can he make the Warriors adjust? Can he dominate the paint? Can he be there on the lobs, on the pick and roll? That would make Steve Kerr and the Warriors say, you know something? Us playing small is not the best concept for us. Or when we do play small, we can only play for a short period of time. So role players, but more importantly, Clint Capella, watch his role, what he does. If he scores 15 to 20 points, I believe that right there makes the Warriors, makes Houston almost unbeatable if the other guys, Chris Paul and, of course, Harden, have this type of games that we're expecting.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's the second point I was going to make with Clint Capella, and I want to build on it. I don't think they're going to start the Hamptons 5 tonight. I don't think Andre Iguodala is going to get the start. I think because of Capella being such an important X factor, I think Kevon Looney will start at center for the Golden State Warriors tonight. I think they trust him. Zaza is basically unplayable against the Rockets.
He's a cheerleader on the bench.
Right.
And watch him when they shoot threes, the one with the big head, he'll be cheering, dapping people up on the side.
And I don't know if they trust JaVale's basketball intelligence to be able to deal with as many high screen and rolls as they're going to run. I would imagine the Warriors will start Kevon Looney because I think they agree with your point, Chris, that Clint Capella getting off, Clint Capella getting Draymond in foul trouble, Clint Capella getting those little lobs from James Harden they loves to throw, that's something that starting 5 they used in the final 2 games against the Pelicans doesn't have a great answer for.
So do both Chris Paul and James Harden have to have monster games for them to stay in this game? That's the only thing you guys haven't mentioned yet. We talked about the role players and we talked about going up against the Warriors.
That's a given. When you play against the Warriors, they have such firepower, and they have a four-headed monster. We just are given that Chris Paul and Harden have to play well.
Okay.
As Nick would say, I don't see a world that exists. That Chris Paul not playing well and Harden not playing well the way the team is set up. But the Rockets have such good role players because Eric Gordon, he can get you 20. So if Chris Paul maybe doesn't necessarily have the offensive output as far as points, but has assists and plays great defense, they have Trevor Ariza. He can get you 18 or 20. So they do have other players compared to some other teams who don't have other scorers who can get off. So in case one of those scorers don't, it's not the end of the road, but for them, the recipe for success is their big 3, which they've been very, very successful when all 3 of them are in the lineup and all 3 of them playing well.
And there are certain segments of the game, Jenna, if I'm going to pivot from those 2 guys for a moment, the Rockets have to win. They have to win the first 4 minutes of the second quarter and the first 3 minutes of the fourth quarter. Those are the times when Steve Kerr traditionally has sat Steph and KD. Let the offense revolve around Klay Thompson. The Rockets have been built as such. They have one of the best. We talked a lot this year about the bench unit Toronto has. They have a bench unit led by Eric Gordon that can involve Gerald Green. They might dust off Joe Johnson. That where all of it, Luke Richard Mbah-a-Moute be out there to probably guard Klay Thompson. They have to win when the starters are not in. When the stars are not in, that's where the Rockets have an edge because the Warriors don't have a very deep bench. Their backup point guards are Sean Livingston and Quinn Cook. They don't really have a traditional backup shooting guard. Andre Iguodala, he might be in the starting lineup. I don't think he will be. The Warriors carry a bunch of centers for reasons I don't understand. Zaza, Damian Jones, Jordan Bell, JaVale McGee, Kevon Looney. They carry 5 centers. Because of that, they don't have a very deep bench. If their backup shooting guard is Swaggy P. Like, you've got to be able to take advantage of the Warriors in the time when Steph and KD are resting. Those are key moments. But your question about Harden, it's not a given to me that Harden will play great. It is a given, and I think this is what you were saying, C, that if Harden doesn't play great, they can't win. Right?
It becomes very difficult. It becomes very, very difficult because he's so ball dominant. And I just believe to be able to not to finish this season, being the MVP, you don't want to finish not playing well against the Warriors. With Harden, 2 of the last 3 years, he could have been the MVP. What he does in this series, I believe, could be the crowning moment of his career.
And trying to get it done in Houston, at home, how important those 2 games are.
And they've played 10 playoff games this year. Harden's played an MVP level in 4 of them. Like, that's the reality. Harden hasn't been great throughout this postseason. Now, when he's been great...
But he's got a better supporting cast.
No, I'm saying they played 10 playoff games this year.
Yes.
This year, they played 10 playoff games. He's played an MVP level in 4 of them.
Yeah, what I'm saying is he has a better supporting cast.
Oh, okay.
They were still able to be competitive, even though he didn't play great.
Absolutely.
Game 1 tonight.
Yeah, cannot wait.
Rockets and Warriors. Coming up, let's talk some